This is actually the second episode that Chu and I are on, and today we are going to chat about how girls go on to womanhood, because this topic actually affects how we train our girls and how coaches can start looking at better programming to help our girls be better, say, athletes, and keep things safe for them. But before I start, I just want to bring everybody's attention to Chu's background. In the last episode, he actually was sitting in front of his yard and then sitting in front of his shed. So it looked as if he was like some killer in a horror movie in his dungeon. So today I made him change his background, and then what better background to have than looking at the Blue Mountains right there behind. So it's not a wallpaper, it's actually it's an actual real background. Hey, Chu, get the bird to fly across so that it's like it looks real.
COVID-19, they're all staying at home.
COVID, oh my god, the birds are on lockdown too. Yeah. So the thing is, it's actually winter time now in Sydney, and then Chu was saying, so I was like just telling him, hey, these 2 days is very nice in Singapore. The weather is so cooling. Today is actually very cooling, like 26 degrees. And he's like, I'm freezing out here. It's winter. Yeah. Sorry. Sacrifice a bit, okay?
I think it is like about maybe like it's a nice aircon temperature of around like 16 to 18 degrees right now here. But because the sun is not, I think it's forecast to kind of drizzle a bit later on in the evening. And so it's totally cloudy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this background is so much better than the previous one.
Fine.
Thank you for providing us with a Blue Mountain background. Okay. Okay, so let's zoom into the discussion for today. And Chu is a coach. He's a climbing coach, and he has worked with many girls over the years, boys as well, but predominantly girls, because for some reason girls love working with him, or he loves working with girls. I don't know how to put it, but anyway, he has he's great with managing girls and helping them thrive and excel in what they do, and in his case is climbing, right, to climb well. So, but over the years as well, he has some questions about how to train girls appropriately or properly, and as a male coach, there are always not all male coach will have these questions, right, that you have.
I don't know. I mean, I would think that all male coaches out there should be asking these questions. But do you get questions from male coaches?
Yeah, I guess actually even some female coaches. But in any case, so maybe share with everybody the questions you have on your mind, and then perhaps we can start the conversation with that.
Okay, I'm going to ask. I'm going to just put myself on behalf of all the male coaches out there, right? And we're very lost at this topic here. We were like, what's going on? And I was like, can't I train another female athlete the same way as I train a male athlete? What? We are all equal, right? We all clearly know that that word equal is not exactly very equal here when it comes to different genders and things like that. So if let's say, right, you walk around, let's say you are giving a talk to a whole bunch of male coaches out there, right? And you got 3 main points that you want to tell them. What are the 3 most important things you want to tell us as male coaches that we should take note of girls when we train them, like young adolescent girls?
Young adolescent girls. Okay, so we put into perspective. Yeah, so we define young adolescent girls a little. Is there any age range you are specifically looking at?
So I mainly coach girls like between the ages of like 10 years old all the way to around 17 years old. Of course, I do coach ladies as well from that age all the way to 39 years old, things like that. But
that's
my
not
concern,
the majority. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't really see that's not the majority. It's getting a lot right now. And And some of these ladies do train with males as well. Some of my male athletes as well. So it's like, how do I balance this up here and there? And a lot of the males understand what I'm doing as well. As to why I don't train them the same way as I train the girls, or why I don't train the girls the same way as guys. But with my limited knowledge, or with my limited understanding of how a female body works or feel, I can only guess. I can only try to put my shoes in a young female athlete, and which I will never be 100% accurate, you know what I mean? And try to understand, and a lot of it is just grouping in the dark, trying to figure out what's going on, reading on the internet, reading books, reading past experience from other coaches a long time ago in China, coaching young female girls and things like that. And I hear horror stories of how these young female girls who stop menstruating because they are trained so hard to the point whereby, for years they stop menstruating. And my question is that good or bad? No, it's like
Hey, wait. Is this part about the Chinese training real, or are you making it up?
No, it's real. Yeah, we were talking
Seriously?
in
For
the
years?
19, in the 19. I mean, I think for at least like 6 to 8 months kind of thing, and they train these girls since when they were the age of like 5 years old, and then when they hit to their puberty age of around 11, 12 years old, and then they realize, hey, why are they not menstruating? And then their menstruation cycle is kind of delayed all the way to say maybe 16, 17 years old kind of thing, In other words, maybe it's not that it stopped, maybe it's just been delayed. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So I think first step for me is really to self-educate. Right. I wouldn't say just for male coaches, even for female coaches. Number one, self-educate and really understand what's going on for a girl when she grows from age of, say, I think 9, 10 years old, all the way up to 16, 17 years old, what's happening to her. Then you understand, hey, actually there are little things I can really do to, support her while she trains competitively, and then not sacrifice or shortchange her in terms of health and longevity.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I feel that we do need to educate our young female athletes as well.
Absolutely, yes, 100%.
Because
they don't know too. Yeah. They don't know too. Yes.
And they want to train like the guys as well.
Yes, absolutely. Exactly. That's what I mean. So, but in the first place, the coach must kind of like know what's going on, right? So that you can have a very safe conversation with the girls, right? So I think as coaches, our role is really not just helping the students and athletes in doing well with a particular sport, in excelling in the sport, in getting the trophy or getting on the podium. But as a coach, that's why we are called coaches. It's everything, right? It's holistic. So coaching them in other areas outside of sports performance, it's also very critical for as a role. If we want to call ourselves good coaches or trusted coaches, right? So this conversation, it is true, right? I mean, personally, even for myself, I didn't really know what was going on too when I was young, right? Really, I mean, and especially for our generation, our parents don't really talk much about it, right? And in school, what do we have? I don't know, chapter 14. Everybody remembers this chapter 14, but then actually, what did chapter 14 teach us? Nothing much, right? Honestly, now in hindsight, there's really a lot that needs to be done to educate our girls and boys on what's really going on during this couple of years of their lives. So then, number one, right, coaches kind of like have an understanding, and you have a level of knowledge, a level of empathy. Then you can engage your girls or boys in safe talk. Or some coaches, perhaps they're not comfortable with these kind of safe talk, or they don't know how to go about it. It's okay. But when you're aware, level of awareness is there, then you can also understand who you can direct or bring in to have a conversation with these girls or boys. Make sense? So, and that's what I mean by number one is you gotta know something first, at least some level of understanding of what's going on, and then whether you yourself want to engage or you feel comfortable to or not, it doesn't matter, because there are always people and experts around that you can bring in to support you in helping the kids. Yeah, I clarify.
If let's say a coach realized that he really need to talk to one of his female athletes in Singapore, I'm talking about Singapore context, not Australian context, right? Is there a place, a community that he can go to that would support him? Or is something like that not established yet in Singapore?
Honestly, I think you're right. Not quite established. But say, okay, so a very common example. I mean, I just listened to a podcast yesterday, and yeah, it's pretty true. Okay, so excellence in sport always has a lot to do with weight, right? And weight is a very sensitive issue, especially when it comes to girls. I mean, I'm not sure how it is. I'm sure it is to some boys, but then for girls, weight is like
Taboo, yep.
the key thing, right? Because I'm too heavy, I'm too big, I can't perform well. Or I'm sure there are instances where coaches or teachers, I don't know, subtly send in remarks that, hey, you need to maybe size down so that you can perform better, because the weight is pulling you back, right?
Yep.
You can't I don't know, you can't sprint as fast or you can't jump as high because the weight is pulling you down, kind of thing. So weight is always a very sensitive topic. So if a coach is aware or educated to a certain level in this arena, then he will be extra sensitive to the athletes' feelings in this aspect as well. And perhaps not, he will understand not to directly probe the athlete or tell her straight off about, hey, you need to reduce your weight.
Hey, fat, go reduce your weight.
Yeah, right? he will be able to come up with a more sensitive approach, more holistic approach. I don't know, maybe engage a trained nutrition or dietitian on the team, or he has access to speak to the girl about it. Or
okay, now then the
have
question is, how would a girl tell another girl in a correct way, or let's say a dietitian? Okay, what can we learn from this dietitian or from another female coach or from somebody who's experienced in dealing with this kind of very sensitive question, right? To tell a girl that for the sake of your performance, you need to lose weight.
because sometimes it's not within her control. Yeah, sometimes it is within the athlete's control, because I don't know, young kids, right? They like to eat a lot of junk food and stuff like that. So there are certain things that they can control. But then there are also some aspects that are not within her control. So let's say she's at the age where she's starting to get into menarche. Menarche means the onset of menstruation. There's just like a lot of different hormones starting to go on in the body, and that is absolutely not within her control.
Okay.
Right. And also these things that are going on in the body could also be one of the factors that's resulting her wanting to eat more. Right. And then it becomes a vicious cycle, right? Right. So there might be all these underlying factors that we don't see on the surface. And she also doesn't understand what's going on inside her. But then as an adult and as an informed coach, you kind of like have an understanding that this might be going on. And what's holding her back. So it's not just about, get the numbers down from the scale.
All right, hang on first.
These girls want to have a conversation too. I guess in a Singapore context, it's really very hard. I mean, like I mean not say very hard, but then it's really something that coaches are not used to doing, right? Absolutely not, right? And it's like, hey, where? I mean, who can I go to or what? Hey, hello, I've not been. I mean, the coaches themselves have not been trained in this manner. They have not been exposed to this kind of coaching methodology or taking care of your team in this manner. So perhaps they themselves are also not used to this kind of strategies to helping their girls. So
More
it's
often than
gonna
not.
take. Honestly, I would say honestly would take a while to educate even the coaches. Like, what's the
So,
appropriate way?
so are there causes in Singapore that would educate a coach? I mean, to think of it, right? Even female coaches will have problems understanding these things as well.
Yes, because imagine if I am not. I mean, if I'm not trained in more like a little bit more exposed to female training, just because by virtue of what I'm doing now, I know a little bit more, and so I understand, hey, what's going on and what should be the appropriate way to work with our girls and female athletes. Then what more the rest?
Yeah.
Right? Our typical and I mean, you look at my even just my network of close friends. I mean, they were competitive when they were young.
Yeah.
I mean, Evie was netballer, Steph as a frisbee player. All these things, and how they were trained also forms a certain basis of how they think training should be or can be when they train the younger girls now, right? It informs us of our training methodology or what we're going to apply to the next generation, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I would say a lot of re-education is required.
Yeah. Because I think, okay, that's my dog. Go away.
She wants into, like, I'm gonna talk about girls.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I think you heard of that. All right, Bacon, go. Shoot. I think you heard the story of how this there's this story of this wife. She put in a loaf of bread into the oven, and then she cuts both sides of the bread. Have you heard the story before? And then the husband asked, "Would you cut?"
No, sure. Then
No, all right, okay. So she put it in the oven, and then the husband asked, "Why do you cut both sides of the bread?" And then the wife said, "I don't know. My mom does it." So she said, "Can you ask your mom why she does it that way?" Ask your mom. Mom said, "Don't know. Your grandma does it, so I does it. I do it this way as well." So the mother said, "I'm gonna ask grandma why she does it this way." And then she went to ask the grandma. The grandma said, "Oh, because our oven was too small. I had to cut it both sides." Like,
so can go in.
so I think you're right. So a lot of times these female athletes were being taught by male coaches with male methods and male methodologies and techniques, right? And then they're going to keep passing down these techniques and methodology right down to this day and age that we are in right now to female athletes, even though they're being coached by female coaches, which is why.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it or whatsoever, because people and athletes have thrived through those methods, and if nothing goes wrong, nobody complains, then the method works.
Now the question is, can they do better?
Correct. Yes. Because well, we all know science, discovery, and research always evolves and always improves. And then with all this new information and new knowledge coming out, like, should we also read up and then make our own informed choices of what can be adopted to always make training and or programming safer and adequate for our students, right? Okay, so the second one possibly that we could share and talk about in this video is we talk about the female athlete triad.
Okay.
There are three factors that can affect a female athlete and compromise on her performance. And these three factors is what all coaches need to look out for. Okay, so number one, and the easy thing is it's always put in a triangle in this way. So if you Google or anything, okay, here, then you can see better because of the background. Okay, so if you Google or anything, you will always be able to see this triangle. that raises 3 key points that all coaches need to look out for their female athletes. Number 1, bone loss. I'll just go through the 3 and then we'll dive in a little bit more, okay? So number 1 is bone loss, decrease in bone mass density. Number 2, look out for energy deficit. Number 3, menstrual disturbance. Okay, so bone loss. So earlier you talked about the training for the Chinese athletes, right? Like how come they've been like put through training since they were 5 years old, and then they go through a series. What sports were they? Are they in gymnastics?
Gymnasts, yep. And there was also a notion whereby because of this harsh coaching style that these Chinese girls were put through, right? And that's why a lot of them are short. They don't grow of a certain height.
Stunted growth.
Yeah.
Yes. So interesting, huh? They actually put this research out. Like I thought they were like
hide it.
Yeah, like
No, I don't think the Chinese were the one that did the research. I think it was someone else, and then he was just using them as example.
Yeah. It's the same lah. I mean, if you have to, I think it's probably going to be the same if you look at some Russian team or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
But anyway, so we're talking about bone loss. So the key thing to understand, right, for girls, because these are girls that are being put through very, very tough training since they were 5 years old, because they are competing at, I don't know, national level or whatsoever, right?
They were meant to be trained for the Olympics.
Correct. From 5 years old, they are already training for Olympics, right? So the level of training you can imagine, right? And harsh training. So, and then you were mentioning that, how come by the age of 11 or 12, which is the normal age, average age where girls start their first menstruation cycle, how come by this age, 11, 12 years old, they're not getting their cycle, right? All the way until, I don't know whether if they are 15 or 16 or sometimes even 17, right? So this is called a delay in onset of menarche.
Okay.
Right, menarche refers to the first menstruation cycle of a girl or a woman. All right, it just means in summary, it just means that, okay, I'm fertile now. Ovaries are working, follicular, whatever, everything is working. So the cycle has started. I'm ready. I'm all fertile now. So that just means that.
So is there any harm if it's being delayed?
So the key issue with, girls, sometimes we like, very good no menstruation, right? Because it's so much trouble, right?
Yep.
It's so troublesome. And then it hinders our training. It brings about discomfort. It brings about inconvenience. Girls are happy about it, right? And this is where the coach will come in and say, don't be so happy about it. Because what the girls and what a lot of coaches don't understand is a delay in onset of menarche means you're compromising on the girl's ability to pack on strength and density into her bones.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Interesting.
So the window where a girl or even a boy, in fact, okay, but we're talking about girls first, okay. So the window at which a girl is able to put on a lot of bone mass density, pack up, strengthen up her bones, bone growth, bone strength. Her ability to do that is between the window of it's about 6. Yeah, the moment she starts menarche, all the way until about 22 years old.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, because once she starts this cycle, once she starts menarche, there's estrogen and all the hormones start flowing, right? And estrogen actually helps in strengthening bones. It has that capacity. So when that doesn't happen, imagine she starts so average girl starts at 11 years old. So they already start having all these wonderful effects of estrogen helping with the bone strengthening effects right at the age of 11, 12 years old, and then all the way up to 22 years old, right? They have this window of period to pack and strengthen their bones.
Mm.
And then these competitive athletes train so hard, right? Train. And then, at 11 years old, no menstruation yet, which means everything is not flowing yet. The estrogen hormone is not there to help with synthesize all the synthesizing that helps to strengthen the bones. And continue. She continues to train hard. And a lot of times I would say maybe 16, 17 years old, then they get their first menstruation cycle. So you can see the number of years that she has missed out on already.
Oh, so that means her body will stop packing at the age of 22 or 23.
Every woman, everybody, yes. Right now, you, me, we are facing bone loss already. We are at 30 years old. We are already.
I totally understand that.
we are. So the age where we can really strengthen and pack lots of I don't know, nutrients or fibers, bone fibers, a lot of osteoclast activity going on in the bones is between that period. Okay, so this is the key period of time, which then if a competitive athlete who trains so hard that she miss out on her menstrual cycle, right? She will be missing out on that few years of packing. Right? Then imagine she starts at, I don't know, say 16, 17 years old. So 16 to, I don't know, 22 or 23 plus minus lah, okay? That's only like, I don't know, 5 years of packing, 5 years of strengthening, right? Before everything stops again, because that's how the body's natural cycle goes. And then bone loss starts. So she has been shortchanged. Because all this while, she thinks that, hey, this is good because I don't have any inconvenience. I can train as hard as the guys and I can, whatever. Hey, but the guys are packing on their bone mass density happily. Who cares, right? Because it doesn't affect them. Their training, whatever, doesn't affect them. Okay? And the poor girl is being shortchanged at the start of 20 plus age, which is like still very young, And that's why you see a lot of competitive gymnasts or dancers or, there's ballet, I don't know, whatever, right? They experience a higher level of like shin splints, sprained ankles, or all these injuries at the later stage of their life after they have retired from competitive sports.
Oh, okay.
Because the bones are brittle, right? So that's the thing. So that's one thing, all right? Delay in the onset of menarche. This is from what I understand, the impact on her for life.
That means, right, when the first point that you're talking about, right, with regards to education should not be just towards coaches, but towards parents and the athletes themselves as well.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Because I know, I mean, over here, I know a lot of parents want to see their kid win now, and and every time I tell them we need to play the long game, and they're like, nah, all the other kids are winning. Why can't my kid win now?
Why? I mean, I don't know why parents think of that, because your kid is with you for life. Your kid is the health of your kid and the happiness of your kid. It's stuck with you for life.
Yeah, it's more of a life.
It affects you for life, right?
More of a welfare thing. Yeah.
Why are you talking about winning at all costs? I don't understand.
Well.
Okay, so also because maybe they don't know these aspects, right? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So people only see the podium as a measure of success, right? An outcome. So I guess that's probably why, we go back to re-education.
Okay.
Right,
right,
re-education for not just coaches, for parents and the athletes themselves.
Okay.
And number 2, energy deficit. So all coaches need to look out for their girls. If you can see, I don't know, be it coaches or parents, if you see that suddenly your girl has this loss of energy, she's not as spunky as she normally is, right? Then that could be a red flag also.
Okay, why? No, why does it happen to her?
the key thing for energy deficit is always not eating well.
Okay.
All right, not eating enough, not eating well, scared to eat, so don't eat because scared to put on weight.
Because the idiot coach tell her she's fat, right?
Yes, right. So sometimes on the surface, the girl is okay, but you never know. Deep down, or when she's in the toilet, she tries to push food out, stuff like that. Because just now somebody talk about my weight or say I can't perform, whatever. So these are things we don't know. The underlying currents that go on inside, and they are adolescents. They are very impressionable, and they have so much influences from I think social media these days. What social media tells them a great female athlete body should look like, right? And then after that, somebody tells me that, hey, I'm looking G now, right? So it's a lot of stress for girls. So that's the key thing to look out for, right? Sudden loss in energy, lethargic. Don't think I have the energy to go for this push, or like you see that, normally, the past few months she's able to do this very well. And how come for the consecutive last few sessions, she's like, doesn't seem to be able to do that. And then, things like that. And then in terms of, low energy levels in terms of hanging out with friends, also not as cheerful.
Okay. So is apart from this reason, is there another reason why they have low energy?
Typically food.
Okay.
Right, not eating well, not eating enough. Right, because our energy we derive from whatever we input, and then there can be an output, right? Then of course, like low energy and lethargy can also stem from psychological factors, but I think that's beyond our discussion today, because we have to link up with a psychologist to chat
That's
about
right.
this with girls, because mental health is really another topic.
Yeah, and
another different arena.
Would you say that mental health issue is more prominent in male athletes or female athletes?
I don't have the data.
Data.
But I am very sure it can affect both, actually. It's just that there might be more females, just because females are really right, like girls, ladies are bombarded by a lot more things.
And not only that, I think they're more they express it more than boys as well. So probably, which is why there's more suicide rate for boys than girls, because the boys don't express it more than the girls.
Correct. So when there's a higher chance that when girls experience sadness or anxiety, there's a higher chance that she will speak out more than the boy. So boys, sometimes they go undetected, and that's why there's no data. Which is sad. Which is sad, right? Like, boys are put to grow up in an environment where, hey, man up, man. Right? So that's conversely on the flip side. That's what's happening for them.
Okay.
Which is very sad. Okay, so energy deficit, that's one thing that coaches can look out for. One is, of course, menstrual disturbances. So even if a girl has, even if your female athlete has started the first menstrual cycle, she can be training so hard that she might lose her menstrual cycles.
Okay.
All right. So that's another term for it. But then anything where she misses it for about 3 months, 3 cycles, then that's a red flag. You definitely have to, raise it up to someone. Right. Firstly, of course, the parents. Then after that, maybe the parents might want to work hand in hand with a therapist or a dietitian or nutritionist to, work things out for her.
So if this actually happens, right, how damaging is it to her body?
In order to lose her cycle, it means that she is overly training too hard, and not getting nourished. And that's why the body shuts down.
Okay.
Right? Because fertility is not key for survival.
Okay.
The body's
all right.
innate
Yeah.
survival, right? Instinct is survival first, right? Food, keep your heart beating, make sure you don't freeze to death, that kind of thing. Then fertility is always next in line, not important, right? So it just sends a strong message that she's overdoing it. So you might see on the surface that, hey, okay, well, she's not bullying, she doesn't look too skinny, or she's still looking, but inside it's not doing well.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But
Interesting.
of course, to understand, to even know whether she's being disrupted, her menstrual cycle is disrupted, requires a very ability to raise the conversation. She must feel safe too, right? To be able to tell you that, because it's still a taboo topic for.
Yep.
It can be a taboo topic, especially for young girls. Yeah. So then, as coaches or parents or teachers, then it's our duty to create that safe environment that these are the things that they should feel safe to tell us about and not get judged.
Yeah.
Make sense? So this is what the female athlete triad raises. So these key 3 points that will help you to look out for any signs of trouble or risk.
What I find it very interesting is that within this triangle that you talk about, right? It is obviously three very important points by itself already. Like the first one was based on bone density, and then second one is their lack of energy, and the lack of energy is usually because they're not eating well, because either a psychological factor or somebody told them they're fat.
So it's 3 points, but then it draws on a lot of other factors as well, right?
What is very interesting is that this loss of strength and loss of energy comes from the fact that they're not eating well. Is it a very, very common thing that female athletes will go through?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And most of the time it is fear of gaining weight.
Okay. So you're saying this is a very the fact that people are putting this out as a material to teach coaches, it means that is a very urgent matter that you find that most female athletes will somehow or another lapse into.
Yes, there's a high chance.
Yeah. Now I'm going to ask you a personal question. When you were in that phase, have you ever been tempted to do something like
that? Like train so hard and not eat well.
That's right. Yeah.
And no, I mean, luckily it hasn't happened to myself personally. I mean, but of course, throughout my years as from teenager to young adulthood to now, I mean, weight will somehow or other always come in.
Okay.
Right. Because personally for me, when I was young, I mean, I've shared this story with you before. I was, a bit on the bulky side during my teenage years, like 17, 18 years old. And
I say strong.
Boys make fun. Boys make fun of me, right? But then, of course, on the surface, I don't whine, I don't cry about it. I don't see it as a problem, and maybe I should have stood up to them, like, shut up, man. But no, right? So I mean, we weren't taught, or we weren't exposed to, how we can respond to ridicules, or even this kind of friendly jabs. These are, I would say, I call it friendly jabs, right? But then it is what it is, right? Why don't they go call another girl the same thing? Right. So anyway, of course, luckily it didn't affect me, that bad. But then, of course, weight will always be on the top of the mind. And then I climb too, right? And we all know, as a climber, if you are heavy, I'm sorry, gravity is going to work against you.
Yeah.
So, but it's not like, I go on a diet or whatever. I just, actually I didn't. So to me, it was more of working out more, expend more energy.
Yeah. Since the fact that based on research, right, this is one of the top top 3 underlying concerns that coach should take note of, right? Then it must be a fairly common thing to be happening out there. Within your peer, do you see that happening?
Peers at my age?
Yeah.
I
when you're in
when I
secondary
was,
school, when you were in high school.
yes,
All right, yeah.
yes. When I was in college, I was very close to 2 other girls, and one is a badminton player, one is a netballer.
Yep.
So the badminton player, in her bid to lose weight, she went on this, I'll only drink water.
Oh, wow. What type of
And
carbohydrate and
the
proteins in there?
netballer and I were like, what? And she's really literally just like drinking a lot of water. And she did really lose a lot of weight. Then she's petite. She's not like, I'm considered pretty tall for an Asian girl. But then she's petite size kind. And she really lost a lot of weight. So yeah, to the extent that was scary. But at that time, at our age, we didn't think too much about it. We just like, yeah, drink water, ma, okay, wow. As long as not dehydrated, right?
Yeah, I mean,
but if we had known then this could be something that we could have flagged out to a teacher or something, right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So it's really
yeah.
not just the coach or the parents, but peers. If we had known, it is something that actually really should have been flagged out to our teachers.
Okay.
Right? Because yeah, on the water diet is one thing, but then psychologically, right? What's going on inside over time? Yeah, might transcend to all those, other deeper factors or deeper issues.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good question. I didn't think about it.
Because yeah, I think among us guys, right, we probably wouldn't know what's being taught within the girls group, for us, I think when guys are within a group of girls and boys, girls would naturally not be talking about the kind of things in front of boys, isn't it? Yeah. So this
It's
kind of
true.
topics, such topics are only mainly talked within the girls group, which we boys are excluded for all generations, and therefore we are like quite clueless to how common this issue is among girls. And based on you, it's like 1 in 3.
So that was what, 20 years ago?
Yep, that's right.
20 years
I think,
ago, right?
yeah.
Gosh. All right.
I mean, with Instagram and all those social media and stuff like that, I think it's worse right now. I think the ratio will be a lot higher right now.
It is. And and especially for our young female athletes, I think we really need to take extra step or extra effort to really well, I would say protect them. Protect through knowledge, protect through awareness. Because of course we cannot be, putting up boundaries and fences around them like 24 hours a day. You just need to, they need to know, and after that they need to make their own informed choices, especially when they're at the age of 16, 15, 16, going into adulthood. They should be able to learn how to make the decisions for themselves.
Yeah.
My question to you then is that, based on what I have raised or suggested, I mean, as you were hearing the points that I raised, there must have been some incidences or occasions that would pop in your mind about your own experiences with your girls. Did anyone come in mind?
Definitely a lot of them.
A lot.
Oh, yeah. And all these things I've read about it as well. Hearing it coming from you kind of put them into a much more orderly space in my head right now. But I know about these bone density laws and all these things here and there, but I don't clearly. Okay, let me explain to you something, right? The reason why I like to go for workshops, the reason why I like to go for this learning workshop that sometimes you do and things like that is because I want to reaffirm myself from an expert that what I'm doing or what I've been reading about is right. So I'm a scuba diver. When I was in university, I scuba dive like like twice a week kind of thing, and I would be like just be so confident in doing everything that I do, and all I had was a basic open water cert. That's all. All right. Yeah, I only had like a level 1, like the most basic of the basic, but I was like doing it every week, and I was just out there. I was doing deep dives. I was doing all kind of things. I knew how to rescue my friends and things like that if something like that would happen. And then my friend said, "Hey, Chu, why didn't you just go and do your advanced cert, your rescue cert and things like that?" And I said, "Oh yeah, let's go and do it." So after I went out and go and did it, and then the instructor asked me, "What are you doing here? You know all these things?" and then I thought about what he said. I said, yeah, I know all these things, but every time at the back of my head, there's this doubt in my head whether is it
Am I
correct?
doing it correctly, right?
That's right. Is it correct? That's right. Yeah. And being a scuba diver, if you do it wrongly, you could kill yourself. Basically, you know what I mean?
It's
Yeah, so
true.
that's right. Yeah. So being there for the advanced course and then later on for the self rescue course and the rescue course and all these things, listening from an expert telling me that you are right makes me more confident that what I'm doing is correct, that I can repeat it consistently the same way again and again and again, not doubting myself. So listening to what you say now again has reinforced a few notions of ideas of how I should be coaching my girls, and I should continue doing so confidently. And there's certain things I should not as well. One of the things that I must say that I would admit is one of the things I love to tease some of my girls who I think they're strong enough to say that they're fat. And a lot of times they're not fat. A lot of times I'm just teasing them because they're really naughty and just playing with food and things like that. And there's this one girl. She's brought up in a family of 3 brothers and things like that. And she's really hardy. She's like, probably her brother's been calling her fat as well, and that's why she doesn't really care. And and when I tease her because she would sometimes eat chips in front of me and things like that while she's training, say you can get fat, and then she would just fight me down. She would pull my leg and just wrestle me down just to prove to me that she's a lot stronger than I think she is. And it never, you know what? Even until now, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know whether if she would go home and think that my coach said I'm fat. Maybe I should stop eating so much tonight. That kind of thing. Yeah. So yeah, these kind of things that we as coaches sometimes would instantly play, right? And don't really mean it. And like, for example, like for what I said to that young girl, I don't mean it. To me, I don't think she's fat. To me, I think she's fit, she's strong. It's just that she was playful, she's not annoying, she's in a cute, cheeky way, and I had to just fight back. Not you fat little girl, stop annoying me.
I guess a lot of times it also depends on the rapport you have with your students and your athletes, right? I mean, every coach will have their own special rapport and way with their students. So, it's it may or may not. I'm not sure. Maybe you can check with her mom how she behaves and things at home. But yeah, that's what you can do to double check.
And because of that, right? And because of that, and I know that I've said that a few times jokingly with her, and I remember over the last few 6 months or so, whenever I'm eating something, I'll deliberately offer her food, just to let her know that it's okay to eat. That whatever I'm saying is a joke kind of thing,
Yeah.
Not just girls, ladies as well. They'll come in and they just want to train. They're like, wait, it's good to train. Just like Corinne Lyon when she was wanting to be strong. I just have to go to the gym, train. And then even during their cycle, right, they'll still come. And then I'll be like, what can I do with you, man?
No, you can still do the same stuff with them. So even though they are okay, so for girls in their cycle, they can do things normally. Right? If they are not affected by discomfort, they are not affected by stomach cramps. Some girls do, some girls don't. All right. I mean, we just need to be aware of this fact, because it's not like you're in a cycle and then you're like, if you have your menstruation and then you're like, I can't do anything. They can still do stuff. It's just that if, let's say, at that period of time, or a certain period of time in their 28-day cycle, they're not performing as usual, and they're not able to push this as she could do it last week, what? But then after that, but then it's the ability of the coach to also understand that, hey, okay, yeah, we can still work on this, but maybe for this other segment, we'll push again next week.
Mm.
Because you understand that she's at that stage of the cycle where, you know, the body doesn't want to push.
Okay, so there is definitely a reduction in strength during that cycle itself. Or is
So a
is it
28-day cycle, yeah, a 28-day cycle, scientifically and ideally, yes, theoretically, we can try and manipulate training or, you know, change programming in accordance to suit her cycle. So theoretically, okay, but it may or may not always work. And at a non-pro or elite level, I'd say it's not very critical.
Okay, so this is where it gets very tricky, because I do train a couple of girls whereby they compete in like national comps or even youth World Cup and stuff like that, right? So what if happens that the competition date itself, it is within that cycle?
When? You mean during menstruation?
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, actually during menstruation, they can push.
That's what I heard as well. It's like, you know, the science just keeps changing. It's like bloody annoying, no?
No, but then because records have been broken where with athletes
runners and things
on
like
the
that,
yes. But the key thing is it's individual as well, right? Because some women just get crampy and then they just get bloated and stuff or things like that.
Yep.
Especially maybe like the first 3 days or so on the first 3 days of the cycle, and it's really hard to say, but some women it doesn't bother them.
Yeah, most of the ladies that I know that bothers them, right? I would know because they can't perform. The ladies that doesn't affect them, I basically don't know because there's no need to talk about it, you know. So what I'm talking about is these ladies who, and usually it's like 2 days before, everything just come collapsing down and things like that. They just can't function the way they used to. They can't pull the way they don't have the enough strength, or they just feel lethargic on the whole as well.
And so then as a coach, we need to help them be okay with it.
Okay, yeah. I know there are athletes out there who take pills or medications to delay it. Then again, is that ethical? Is that even good for the body?
Personally, for me, I wouldn't advocate. I don't advocate. I mean, I don't like it for myself. I wouldn't do it to. I wouldn't even talk or suggest or raise this suggestion to an athlete, because what the pill. I mean, lots of people take pills, a lot, right? At the professional level, at the Olympic level, at whatever, so many people take birth control pills. Sometimes for skin, for acne, sometimes for stabilizing cycles, sometimes for I don't know, for different a lot of it. But basically, it works with playing around with your hormones. Right, because it's the introduction of progesterone and estrogen into the body, so that it tricks the brain to think other ways, so that ovulation doesn't occur or whatever. Right. So to me, I don't like it. But that said, I have tried it before. I mean, when I was young, I didn't know the better, right? To me, it's like, hey, I have this activity going on, holiday. I don't want, so inconvenient. Take the pill, right? To delay it, right? So but yeah, but that's for leisure or for, like, you know, small level competitions or whatever. But I'm not sure how it will really affect. But at that level, okay, for these ladies that you're talking about, they are a little bit older, right? 20.
No. These are still young ladies.
Okay. Right. Then I would suggest that, if I'm not sure, are they aware of this? Did they ask you about it? No? Okay, then don't.
Yeah. No. My question is, they may not even need to ask me. They may not even need to tell me. You know, they may be already doing it. Who knows? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right,
So,
right, right.
again, which is where the concern about education is. Should we warn them about it? Is this something that coaches, regardless male or female coaches, should be concerned that their athletes are doing something like that?
I used to work with a chiropractor doctor who is a nutritionist doctor as well. She's double. So that's what she said to me. Any girl who decides to go on a pill, she has to up her B vitamins.
Okay.
I
Vitamin
mean,
B.
personally, I've not gone into like dive into it, like why, what causes what and all that. But this is one nutritional advice that she says. I mean, of course, because of her own experiences as well. When she was young, she was already started on the pill and that kind of thing, and it affected her in the later years when she wants to, have a baby.
Okay.
So this to her is a pain point.
All right.
Right, which she doesn't want other girls to go through as well. And of course, when she was younger, she didn't know the better, right? And when we were younger, we didn't know as well. But then now that we know, and then if we have kids or girls in our charge, then I don't know, might be wise to have a little conversation with them. Like, it's just an education conversation. Not coming from the angle that, hey, don't do this, do that, or whatever. But then, hey, right, just an education point.
A very interesting question, right? In this group context, right? Would girls feel a bit of a gender inequality kind of thing if you suddenly prescribe different training system towards them, and it's quite visual that the girl can notice that how come the boys are doing that kind of training and then we are not doing that, and or that intensity and things like that.
Honestly, that's where the earlier notion came in, right? Where we have to educate the girls as well. You have to understand that your body is different from the boys. For one thing, already, boys' shoulders are broader, chest bigger, and that's why they are supposed to be able to pull much better and faster than you. So for a girl to be able to pull as much as a boy, that is a lot that needs to go on in the upper body strength. A lot extra work. And then in terms of running as well, sure, a girl can be running very, very fast, but then majority of the girls, our hips are wider than the boys. So which means the Q angle is much bigger. But anyway, bigger hips, right? I'll just give you this analogy. Wider hips, the femur, the leg bone coming down will be more at a wider angle here, and then before it comes down to your shin.
Yep.
Right? But for the boys, it's predominantly like that.
Yep.
So you can imagine the pounding effect it has on the knees and ankles is very different for boys and girls.
Never really thought about that actually. Now that you kind of put it visually like that.
This is another, I mean, one of it, but I didn't put it into this point. But yeah, so looking at how a girl's body is, the female body is built and the male body is built, that has to have some way of informing how you program your training.
Okay.
Right, and not expect a girl to be able to, not that she cannot run as fast as a boy, but then obviously she can, and there are girls who can run faster than some boys, right? And all that, but just have to understand the amount of stress that's being subjected to her knees and hips as opposed to that boy. And then what do? Okay, then you have to teach them how to rehabilitate or stretch or release the tightness at certain places. They have to do it more than the boys or that kind of thing.
Okay. To this mindset of coaching girls in Singapore, is like how prepared, or are there like courses or materials or education out there in Singapore itself that male coaches can, or even just coaches on the whole, can actually go and learn this?
So I am running, I teach for Fit Singapore. There's this particular module called Women Fitness Essentials. So we touched a little bit on these points in a 1-day course. Yeah, but it's not zoomed in directly to teaching about young female athletes. It basically covers like, women's fitness essentials from there when they were a girl all the way up to postmenopausal. So you can imagine, right? It's just touch and go all the way until postmenopausal age, like because it covers it's like women's fitness essentials. So there's I don't think there's anything specific zoomed into young female athletes. Maybe we can do that instead.
So you're saying there's nothing like that that's provided for our coaches in Singapore?
Not that I know.
Not that you know. All right. Okay. Because to me, this is quite sad because
is there any in I think there would be more in Sydney.
No? There are more.
In Australia?
There's definitely a lot more catered to this kind of understanding in Australia. But even then, people don't really seriously
go for
it. Yeah, because already they're like they need to learn the conventional everything of what has been taught to them, and then now a new topic has come in, and how recent is this? I think it's quite recent that people are only looking at these things. And what's more, in Singapore, you're saying that there's no real concern about training athletes, even though we've got the netball team, we've got we've got so many female athletes representing Singapore and things like that. And are there specialized?
And I'll tell you, even I would say the ladies themselves are on the no pain, no gain road.
Okay. All right.
Right.
So tell me, what is wrong with this no pain, no gain road mentality?
Well, to me, if nothing happens, okay, fine. But if something happens, or like down the road, if there's something that you can avoid happening, you can preempt and then avoid happening down the road, then why not? Right. And I would say also too, a lot of times women don't share a lot of what goes on or the problems or challenges they have. Buried incontinence, or I have certain injuries, or I have certain challenges. I don't have my menstruation. Women don't share. So sometimes it's also not because nothing's wrong, ma. She's also okay, but she didn't say. That's why can we say that everything's okay? Can we safely say that everything's okay? It's just that, and especially in the Asian context, people don't share so openly, right? And if you don't have a close community of girls who, even your close community of girls, sometimes they are not open to sharing this kind of things.
Yep.
Right? So unless you're at that level of friendship or closeness that you can just, then you know really truly what's going on. Okay, but it's really hard in the Asian context. But I do think, but I do think that it's time to look into this as well.
Do you say
in our Singaporean context?
Do you say you're with an organization in Singapore that does these things?
Oh yeah, so Fit Singapore is an organization that runs certification courses for trainers. So you get your certificate already, then you have your post-education, continuing education. So they run all these certification courses, sometimes from American College of Exercise, sometimes from other places, right? And then of course they also work with some of the Aussie trainers, lecturers, to run some of these courses, basically providing continuing education opportunities for trainers. Then of course there are times where teachers or educators or sometimes nurses or what, they also come for class, which is okay.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so anybody can come actually. Doesn't really matter.
No, I mean, I just want people to know, especially male coaches, to know that there are actually resources like this in Singapore, that they should be out there looking for these resources, be actively learning these things, especially if they're coaching. I'm sure there are many male coaches right now who are coaching secondary school girls in the team itself, like or even in JCs and polytechnics and stuff. Like, I mean, these are mixed group. There are definitely girls in there. You know what I mean? So how do you cater a training regime whereby there's a mixed group of girls and boys? You know, how do you ensure that you train the boys just as hard as you train the girls, but in the right way? The reason why I've been constantly asking you where guys can get all these materials and all these so-called courses that you can do is because that was like 15 years ago, when I was looking for such materials in Singapore, I found none. When I was looking for such shop or such courses, that I found none as well. Even when I tried to find such materials on the internet, it was really, really hard to find as well. Constantly, I was always been constantly looking out on how to train girls, what's the right way and what's the wrong ways, because like what I mentioned in the first episode, I was saying that I was chanced upon to train a bunch of RGS girls, and like I don't know how to train girls. So I had to find out what I can do and what I cannot do with these girls. How much strength training can I apply on them? Is it correct to be applying the same kind of strength training as what we do for boys and things like that? So all these are questions that I had at that point in time. Can I be? I just came straight out of the military, you know what I mean? Can I be training them the same way as the military style? You know? So and you know, a lot of us guys, right, being the egocentric mindset, like why not? Yeah, I went through the army. The girls can do it too, you know. So and we don't know. We especially being a young coach at the point in time, we due to lack of experience, due to lack of what we see out there, we just assume that she's a GI Jane. Why not GI Jane? I mean, what's the difference between a male body and a female body? I even once argue that a girl can perform just as well as a boy, and
she
and now
can,
yeah.
and she can, yeah, and she can.
Okay.
It's just that as a coach or as an athlete yourself, you must have that awareness that maybe I can do it, but at what expense?
Yep. So
Right.
now, which comes into the at what expense as well, and even then, if at what expense is the expense irreversible? Can the expense be mitigated by like what you mentioned about stretching and things like that? You know. So why not? Let's do it, man. Let's try to get as good as the guys, no man.
Yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
Yep. And it's basically the same thing as what I tell my female coaches. Like, you know, there's so many female climbers out there who are just climbing way better and way stronger than boys out there in the international environment and stuff like that. Because science has gotten so way ahead of how we can teach you people to climb correctly and to be able to catch up with these boys with not just through brute strength, but with better techniques, with better skills, and with better understanding of how to draw your strength out as well.
Yeah.
And being able to understand how to draw the strength from a female body is very different from drawing a strength out from a male body, which is why I thought this is what we need to know as coaches.
Yeah, and that's why even in China there's the Wutang for the boys, and then there is the other one for the ladies, right?
That's a good question.
They have different manuals, you know.
Very interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just would. I wouldn't say that, you know, training has to be, you know, very fundamentally different or whatever, but then it's always that added level of awareness, which can allow you to do adaptations and modifications, as well as adjustments of expectations, then managing emotions. These are all the very different aspects when it comes to coaching female athletes, as opposed to just the guys.
I think when we go into the female athletes with compared to the male athletes in terms of their psyche, in terms of their psychological aspect of it, is going to be a whole new topic entirely.
Yeah, boy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and by itself is going to be a whole episode of discussion about how to train males and female athletes in terms of their mindset.
Yeah, we should. So yeah, so I think it's a good place to end for today's session in terms of raising up certain key points about what to look out for when training young female athletes. Then, like you mentioned, the next session we talk about male and female psyche. I think it'll be good to invite some young athletes on for a chat if we can
In-
find one to hop on and throw her some questions.
your daughter?
She's not. She's just like, I don't want to climb this. I don't want to climb that. I don't want to go outdoors.
Oh well, yeah, we can drag somebody in, yeah, and ask around. Yeah, before my dogs go crazy, I think we should end this session soon.
Yeah, boy. And guess what?
Yep.
It's time to prepare lunch for the twins
Yep.
again. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for the chat today.
You too.
All right. I'll see you next week.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye.